Hi, I'm Wyatt. Welcome to the Ark of the Covenant dig. We've been working in this area since 1979, and shall we say it hasn't been an easy job. In 1982 we were able to get into the chamber where we saw some of the furnishings from the first temple. Now we accomplished that by going down through this hole here that's about 40 foot deep, and then coming out of there back up into a chimney in spelunker terminology, and then squeezing on into the chamber.
We broke our way in through a hole. We went 60 feet underground, we came back up. I mean, it was a real labyrinth. But once you got in this chamber, there sat a door right at the end of the chamber. And the people that brought this thing in busted a chunk of stone loose, dug out from behind it, laid it down, cut a doorway out in there, carried this stuff in. And then they covered them with animal skins, and then they covered them with wooden boards, and then stones. They packed that thing full of stones, backed out and shoved that chunk of rock back in place and filled in behind it. And today, from the outside, it just looks like a crack that an earthquake made, and there's a lot of those in that scarp.
Now, if it were just simply getting into the chamber, we could do that. But once we get in there, we have to have the ability to get all of those things out of that chamber and safely to the surface. So it's not like just treasure hunting where you go in and get whatever is there and take it out. We have to consider taking care of the objects that are beyond this wall.
And we're bringing the radar scanning equipment out of the hotel here.
That's right, and take about a minute for the scan. All right.
Tell them to start.
You can see the excavation site's kind of hid by these bushes, so a lot of people as they walk along this path don't necessarily see it, but sometimes they'll hear the noise.
She wasn't carrying anything. Doing when she went to lunch.
Now I think these must be cracks in the rocks. These little white lines going through there must be cracks or something. From here to here, the transducer is stationary, because it's all the same all the way down. And it looks like there's a cavern there, which I don't know what scale he had it on, so you can work out how deep it is from the surface, or from where the transducer is to the cavern, if you know what scale and you've calibrated to that scale.
This is what, 40 feet down?
Roughly, yeah.
45 feet down?
Old wall we found. Old digging down.
And an old miner.
And then the hole keeps going down. About how far, Simon?
That's another 10 feet down there.
10 feet down to Ron down the bottom.
He's found a really
On the end of a jackhammer.
about to, contemplating.
Just
Alright, at this point, you are 45 feet under the ground. All of the debris above us is from the many different destruction levels of Jerusalem. In antiquity, when a city got destroyed, instead of coming back, moving all the debris away, and starting from bedrock, they would just level off what was left of the city and start it from that point on up. And Jerusalem has been destroyed at least 10 times throughout antiquity. And we are down at right here is the pre-Babylonian area, or strata. Now, what I wanted to point out to you here is in front of me you see some large stones that are blocking an entrance into a chamber. Now, in order to conceal the chamber, they couldn't just block the chamber entrance itself, otherwise this would call attention to it. So they put up a veneer that went around the escarpment some distance, and this would at least confuse anybody that was looking for an entrance and perhaps make them believe that the stone veneer was there for some other reason. Now, in this particular quarry and in many others from antiquity, they would cut the stone back until they came to chambers, or where the water had eroded and dissolved the stone away. This type material was unusable for their purposes in cutting out good strong blocks of stone for building purposes. So when they cut into these chambers, they would go around and leave a thin wall between the chamber and the outside, taking all of the good stone away. So this is a situation that we're looking at here, and that we have looked at in several other areas in this particular cave complex. Now, this wall here was put up very hastily. They have had mortar back to Babylonian and pre-Babylonian times, and this wall, as you will see, instead of mortar, they used some red clay. Now, this tells us that they did all of this in quite a hurry. So given all of this information and the fact that I was in a chamber in this general location, however, it is a little confusing once you crawl around through these tunnels to try to keep oriented if you don't have a compass on you. But our radar, our subsurface interface radar scanner, shows that there is a chamber approximately 18 inches behind this wall, and one of the shots that we got from the side showed a level of contents in the chamber with lessened contents near the bottom, and in experimentation we find that this usually represents something that's standing on legs or up on some sort of a pedestal. And we're going to attempt to put a hole through there with this drill. Alright, now as we're down here with a lot of debris over us, quite enough to bury us, and some future archaeologist, if time lasts long enough, would find our remains, that is too much vibration down in this area and would trigger earth slides, which we have experienced several of. So
You can see
Yeah.
this is teensy.
You think that's okay?
This is frightening.
Holding all right? So much gonna put Edward on top side there.
It's like you said, the only thing really holding this.
Take a good look. This just caved in a little bit earlier, and that's why they had to put these boards up. Behind, I don't know if you can see, there's nothing. There's the air hose. There's Frank laying the drill down. And I am going to very carefully try to scoot down a little at a time. You can see it's straight down. There's Frank with a bucket of rocks.
Can you see the full depth of it over there where Bob is? Pretty far down in there.
There's
About another
Bob.
4 feet.
What is he doing down there, Frank?
He's cleaning off, we hope, right to his right-hand side. The face of the cliff goes straight down, and we're hoping that that will be the chamber to the right if we can find our way into it through solid rock right there. You can't see it too well from where you're at, but it's been plain straight down. Over here to my left is where we had the cave in, where all this is missing.
Right there. I don't know if this is recording very well or not. Looks like I'm fogged up, but you can see I am in a very confined space. And these guys have been working in here non-stop, day after day.
Probably try to find the entrance, because to use a jackhammer with all this loose material would be almost impossible. We've already had one cave in.
Yeah.
So we'll have to go for finding some way into it, if we can, like a door or some kind of an entrance to it.
It's hard to believe. Okay. I think I probably better call it quits and back up behind me and exit so they can get someone in here to
Okay. Did you see the wall and all that?
Well, yeah, I didn't go, very far.
Yeah.
I just went down to about there.
Okay. But you did see the wall.
Yeah. You can see how small that hole is. I don't know how we got in there. I could hardly get in there. Oh. And there's the air hose, which doubles as the communications line. Show you this whole chamber. At times there would be, how many men in here, Dale, at one time? 7
or 8.
And I'm looking straight up now. Uh-oh, I hear...
Bucket coming up!
Oh, bucket. Yeah, now this is what they do. They haul the buckets up, and then
You got my thumb
they
in
put
there.
them,
Okay, go ahead.
Dale puts them on, and Ed up there is hoisting it up through the hole, and Simon's grabbing it and handing it to Nathan, and Nathan's giving it to Mark, who's hauling it off to the dump.
Pull. Dale, you got any buckets empty out there?
Yep.
One down below?
It is straight down. Ron says about 40 foot down here. See, we're just standing on, we're in a hole. We're standing on boards.